It's the happy hour right here, Sirius XM Fly. I'm HB. I know I've been talking about this all week, and I literally cried last week when I announced that she was coming to the show for Soul Food Thursday. And for those of you that missed the reason why I cried, I will break down the story again. So back in 1992, I auditioned for a show on MTV called The Real World. It was the first of its kind. It was the first start of reality television. We had no idea what we were in for. It was never done before. They just put 7 people in the house, asked us to live together, and they would film it. On the application process, it said, name 2 people that you would like to meet. The first person was Larry Johnson. He was an NBA player for the Charlotte Hornets. Somehow my hormones were all over me, and so I wanted to meet him, and I thought we would just live happily ever after. We did do an episode together, but the happily ever after thing never panned out. I married somebody else. Sorry, Larry. Second person, I put Miss Patti Labelle. And I put that down there and just in hopes that maybe they'll figure it out somehow and I would have an opportunity to meet her. That was in 1992. Fast forward to May 2017. 25 years later, I was working here at Sirius XM and I happened to be walking by another studio and I turned and it was around Mother's Day and I was already feeling heavy because my mom had just passed in July 2016. I was feeling heavy and I turned and there she was, Miss Patti LaBelle in the studio. So it was me, Yolan, Worry, everybody. We bum rushed and we was like, can we please take a picture of you? And sure enough, this is the picture that we took. We stopped you.
Oh, we were hooked.
Yeah, we were hooked up, Miss
Hey.
Patty. I didn't even know I was coming to see
We
you
had
that
on
day.
chocolate clothing.
You eat chocolate. You see how we
Yeah.
looking good, right?
Cute.
We was cute. So,
Real cute.
thank you.
You got something else?
Yes. So that day I went home and I prayed and I was like, wow, I would love the opportunity to meet her and actually sit down and talk with her again. It was so quick, but I cherished that moment that we had. And sure enough, about a year later, you came to the Sway in the Morning show, where I'm a co-host of Sway in the Morning. And you walked in and it was like, you look cute and you look familiar. And I was like, I stopped you in the hallway and I bum rushed you for a picture. Here's the second picture that we took. I'm bringing receipts, Miss Patty. I'm bringing receipts.
Yeah, we were fly here.
We were fly there. You see how cute you looking? Look.
Yeah, man. Check it out.
I got home that day and I was like, I need my own time. And this is just, honestly, I've been talking about this, Miss Patty, because we have a lot of conversation here about prayer. We have a lot of conversation about visions and dreams and keeping journals and just believing that things will happen. And so once you left Sway, I was like, I would love to be able to sit down and talk with you in some way, in some form. And less than a year later, I just feel blessed to be able to say, welcome, Miss Patti LaBelle, to the happy hour right here at Sirius XM Fly.
I'm happy to be here with
this
you.
is a dream come true for me.
You're so nice, though.
Oh, man.
No, you're a good person, period.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's just been on my heart. And as I said, from the time I wrote it on a piece of paper that I wanted to meet you, 25 years later, God allowed that situation to happen. But it felt like it just happened. You know, I was just so happy. But I thought about that time last night when I was preparing to speak with you. You've been in the industry for longer than 25 years. You've been at the top of the industry,
60 years.
60 years.
Yes.
Okay.
60 years.
So I have a hard enough time getting up and getting out of bed every day just to go to work.
Girl,
How?
it ain't easy. But I know I have to get up. So I get up and I get cute. And then I make my outdoor appearance, grocery store or wherever. But whenever I go out, I'm cute. Pumps and all.
Every day?
Every day. Even though my knee might be hurting, I'm going to put that pump on.
Really?
Yeah, girl. I have them in the green room. I have the baby shoes on now.
Right.
But I came in pumping it up in some pink satin Louboutin or somebody's shoes.
Where did you get your style from? Because I think even when I first laid eyes and Patti LaBelle and the Bluebell, like I just remember this style. Like I remember, and I was like, there's other women, but who's that? Like, where did you get your style from?
My father was a clothes horse. He would change 3 times a day. Wow. My mother had great style, and I got it from my family, my mother and father. My father would have like 4 pair of shoes on a day, took 4 showers. I mean, he was just clean, period, poo. And I loved him for that. And I watched him and I said, I'm going to look like daddy when I grow up.
Where was he going, Miss Patti, 4 times a day?
To see other women. He was clean, honey. He was a pimp. My father was a good pimp. Beautiful man, yeah. And he had women, and my mother knew it.
How early did you know, like, that your dad was?
I knew when I would hear the fighting, and my mother broke the fridge trying to get to him. My mother didn't take any stuff, so she would like to beat him up. And he was smaller than her, and she would whip that butt.
Really?
And he would run and stay away for another week. I would have to go to the doctors every week I broke out in hives from hearing them fight. And so I knew it was happening when I was a young girl.
Did it discourage you hearing that? Because they said kids and we feel more. Like, as you're a kid, you would feel it more. Something is wrong. Did it discourage you, though, from relationships? Like, how did you view marriage or view relationships?
I was careful. I took my time. I think I was 29 when I got married. And that's when I was pregnant with my son, Zori. And I was like the oldest mother in that ward. There were 14-year-old, 15-year-old popping up little girls and going home the same day. I stayed in for a week, so I cherish that week because I have a beautiful, wonderful son. And I was married for 35 years to Zori's father, my husband, and we split. And that was harder on me then. It should have been, I worried about Zori. How would he think about his mother and father divorcing? That kind of stuff. I don't even think I answered your question.
No, but this is good because it is Soul Food Thursday, so we do recipes for the bar.
And you made all the good food.
So thank you. But how do you? This is good because this is something that we would talk about around the kitchen table. After 29, first of all, doesn't seem like
at old
to have a baby. Like, it seems late. And then now that you mentioned like the 14 and the 15-year-olds that were in there.
Yeah.
But I'm more curious, after 35 years of marriage or over 30 years with the same person, how do you split? Like, how do you walk away?
We walk away as friends. He was at my party the other day. We're still good. We're recording the album together. We're buddies, but we can never be lovers again. And you can always, for the sake of my son, I always want that union or whatever we call it.
That unity, that union.
Yeah, and he knows that I'm not mad at his dad, and his dad knows that, nobody's the reason. We just had to split. You love, and then you start liking. When you start liking, it's time to leave love, because you don't love anymore. You like.
So for people out there that's listening now and that's going through a situation like that, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, what advice then would you give them? You're saying that once you start liking, because Miss Patti, it's hard to love every day. I mean, the butterfly love or just like, I love you. Which kind of love you talking about?
But then you start not liking the way you do certain things. Like, he would have the newspaper all scattered over the table on bang like that because I'm a real neat girl, And he would just have his, at the time, cigarette ashtray. I said, when are you going to clean it out? Because I don't smoke. Oh, Blanche, I'm going to clean it out. Blanche from Whatever Happened to Baby Jane? Blanche, Joan Carver played part of Blanche.
Yeah, the character.
So he calls me Blanche for some dumb reason. I said, okay, Hector. His name is not Hector. But we would have little moments where I hated the way he did things. And he didn't like the way I did things. So like, he didn't like the fact that I would wear no stockings. And sometimes I wouldn't shave my legs. I have natural legs. I said, well, what's wrong with him? He said, nothing, but why don't you put on some stockings? I said, because I don't bang with stockings. I said, will that mess your mind up? And he's a sweetheart. I mean, nicest man, but he has his ways, and I had my ways. Yeah. But the best thing is that we can talk to each other on the phone last night. Yeah. Okay. Because we like each other now.
So your advice would just be to try to part peacefully as friends?
Oh, you have to, if you can. Sometimes it's going to be a big old problem because you're going to have to say bye right now. Sometimes you work on being apart. Gradually, you separate from each other. The kid is not hurt, and you just remain friends. I don't see any reason not to be his friend. Can't be his wife,
but you can be his friend.
One of his best friends now. Yeah.
Man, Miss Patti, she is here. It's the happy hour of Soul Food Thursday. I promise up next we're going to be talking about food, but I've never heard that story before. So
I never told it. I promise you about that. I never talked about that. It's in a book, but I never really talked
Talk
about
it.
to anyone.
Thank
See,
you.
you bring out the honest in people because nobody can play around with you because there's no time to pretend and act all cute and different and like you didn't go through problems, at a young age, going to get your shots for those hives and all of that stuff helped me to be who I am today.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. More Miss Patti coming up next to Happy Hour. It's Fly. It's the Happy Hour right here, Sirius XM Fly. I'm HB. It's my honor and pleasure just to remind you guys, yes, I'm hanging out in the studio with Miss Patti Labelle, the legend. She's here to talk about food. It is Soul Food Thursday. You have something new coming out with your line after the world just totally went crazy and lost their mind over the patty pies and the apple pies and every kind of pie that you have. What's new that's coming out now for the holidays?
It's comfort food, frozen comfort food that all my recipes, the way I've been cooking all my life, and you can get them at Walmart now. They've been in the store down for about 3 days, I think.
Yeah.
And the macaroni and cheese that I'm known for, it's just like mine that you would eat at my house. But it's frozen. And when my ex-husband was there last week, I had a party. And he had the macaroni. And there was a lot of people in the kitchen. And so he said, where did this come from? So I said, from my freezer. And he said, yeah, right. So when I showed him the box with my picture on, I said, it's Patti Labelle's new macaroni and cheese. So he said, can I take some home because I had some left? The next day he called me. He said, now that you're not around a lot of people, tell me the truth about the macaroni. I said, I told you, it's frozen. He said, how can it be frozen and taste this good once you bake it? I said, because my soul was in it, my heart was in it, and if it didn't represent my macaroni and cheese the way it's been for all these years, I didn't want it out in the public.
Were you afraid to give out your recipes?
Heck no. I love giving out, but you can't do it. You give it out, and they said, well, I did it just like you said. And I'm not lying about the recipe. I'm telling them everything I said is about the timing you put in it, the way you can look every now and then. It's a lot of steps to cooking. And when you get the recipe, sometimes you can't do it.
You can't do it. And I always say it's the pots, too. So,
the pots has a lot to do with I was just talking about that with my girl. Yes, pots has a lot to do with it. She said she gets rainbow colored pots. She says she knows they're cheap because they start burning the grapeseed oil real quickly. So I told her about the ones that I use, the copper ones. And I use this Australian silver pot that takes 2 hours out of cooking like a brisket or big turkey in that big silver fierce pan. And of course for frying the chicken, the cast iron black ones. But it does depend on what pot you're cooking with.
It does depend on the pots. I know my mom used to cook all her chilies and soups out of this pot, and that's the one thing that I took when we cleaned out her house after she passed. I took my mom's pots. I was like, the memories.
And they were good.
They were seasoned, Miss Patti.
Yep.
They just had
old
that
pots.
love in it, and it's like no matter what, I could see a brand new pot, but I grabbed that old pot because I know
what's going to happen.
What's going to happen?
It makes a big difference. And I tried to fry my chicken one time in another pot that looked the same, but it wasn't. That stuff was soft. It wasn't crispy. I said, what is this? I threw that pot away.
You threw the whole pot away?
It's a disaster pot. Yeah.
Wow. So macaroni and cheese, which is perfect for the holidays, you have frozen. What else in the comfort
corn
food?
over tomatoes, brisket stew, 2 types of cornbread, some other stuff. Brisket stew. Oh, chicken and biscuits.
Frozen?
Frozen, honey. And you would think that the biscuits will fall down.
Right.
Honey, you put it in the oven for 75 minutes when it's frozen, or you could thaw it out and maybe do 40 minutes in the oven. And so when it came out, me and my friend Kim, we tasted it. I said, why isn't that biscuit melted or falling down? It was sitting up crisp. The way I make them for real, they came out the same way.
All right, so this is what I love, and I know you're going to be honest with us. So, like, if you're a single girl and you're dating someone and they're coming over for the holidays, can this meal pass as, like, I made this at home for the guy that you
He won't know the difference, I promise you. Hide those boxes.
Hide the boxes?
And guess what? My food comes in these little black plastic things that look like they would melt in the oven. You cook it in that, then put it in one of your pans. He won't have a clue.
That's what I love. Just sprinkle some parsley on it, and it's going to look like you
did it. And some paprika or something, give it some red or whatever else. You can work that.
All right, good.
Not that you have to.
But they can do it.
The girls can do it,
All right, they can do it. You heard it.
The guys can do it, too.
Right, the guys can, because we have a lot of truckers, too, that's always talking about food and need it. And the fact that it's frozen and you can do it's perfect.
And I have a few more savory frozen items coming soon.
All right, perfect. Miss Patti, she is here hanging out in the happy hour. More up next. It's the happy hour right here, Sirius XM Fly. I am Heather B, hanging out with the legend, the icon, Miss Patti Labelle. I want to talk about music. Okay, so I've been to a million of your shows. It's almost embarrassing to I know the whole routines. Sometimes I'm up there, my husband's like, calm down, she's not gonna call you on stage. So I know the songs that were written for other people that you pass, and then you start singing them in your show. I think that's one of the most phenomenal.
That one.
Man, listen,
yeah, things that got away. Songs that got away.
Mm-hmm. Incredible to me with that. I watch you interviews every time you pop up. I remember seeing you on Arsenio, and you were trying to explain to Arsenio he needed to listen to Gangsta Bitch by Apache. He wasn't up on that song. I was like, Miss Patti know hip hop like that? She was dancing
things sometimes.
She was dancing to Gangsta Bitch by Apache. I was like, this is crazy. Puffy's mom was at your show. Like, I've been to so many different shows. Watching Kane, Big Daddy Kane, come out with you years ago. You in the video with Nelly and Kelly, like, you've just been able to walk that line. R&B, gospel, supported the ladies when they did Lady Marmalade. Like, I was like, this is so fly. But then in my mind, because I grew up, my parents were only 16 and 17 years older than us. And so, yeah, we had young parents. So I grew up in the house, obviously, listening to you, Gladys Knight, Phyllis Hyman. And I remember when Miss Hyman passed away and hearing stories that she fell to the pressures of the industry. Like, people, they wanted her to be younger. The label wanted her to do things that she did not want to do. A, have you ever felt that type of pressure? And B, if you are working on new music, can you please share what you're working on?
I'm working on Phyllis Hyman's Bitch by Golly Wah. I'm covering that. You'll Never Find
I'm about to faint.
Lou Rawls. Some others that you haven't. Oh, The Show Must Go On by Queen. That kind of. I'm doing some dance music, some very new music, some beautiful. It's this beautiful song called Jealous, and I'm just happy. It'll be ready next year, by the end of next year, and I think you're gonna like it.
I'm gonna love it.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
I was hesitant about doing certain covers because nobody sounds like Phyllis. And we were close like this, but
really,
oh yeah, she and my sister Jackie, they used to hang out together. My sister was a wild child, and so was Phyllis. So I knew she would come to the house, and we would just have fun. Come on, Patti. So we went to Aretha Franklin's show. We were sitting in the front row at Radio City, and she was loud. I said, Phyllis, shut up. Just be quiet, boo. She said, girl, I can talk. I said, yes, you can. We stood up to go to the bathroom. She way up here, and I'm down here. I said, let's go to the bathroom for a second. Not while she was on. Not while Aretha was on, but we had to take a break because she's bad. And I love her. She's so much fun.
So you never felt pressure from your labels or anything like that to do? It seemed like all your collabs were very natural. That's what I guess.
And Michael McDonald's was natural because the song was being thrown out. And Burt Bacharach said, well, would you like to do it as a duet? I said, yeah. And he said, who would you like? I said, I would love Michael McDonald.
Wow.
Although he has the best voice and sometimes I don't understand what he's saying, but I don't care. He's a bad boy. I love him. And so that's how I kept that song. I was going to throw it away. The industry, of course they will put pressure on you to sing disco. I'm not a disco singer. To sing...
Oh, wow. Raphael Sadiq just walked in here. Hi.
Stay there.
Yeah, you could just come in. Hi, how are you?
Oh, I love the new stuff.
Wow.
This is amazing.
I know.
But guess what? Here's what happened today. My friend, I got to tell the truth, I'm honest. Kim, right there, said to me, Patti, I got to meet Raphael Sadiq. I said, well, I'm going to try and make it happen. I swear to God. This is so much fun.
I said, you know I don't bang.
She never says anything, but she had to meet you. Oh, God. My God. So she has to take a look.
Okay.
I'm gonna let y'all finish.
No, this is crazy.
I'll be right here.
Did that really just happen?
I swear it happened. Love you, baby. Congratulations. See? I told you God is good.
God is amazing.
Right?
Like, okay. I know we wrapping up Tracy. We putting Tracy
we're into some good stuff.
No, but
How long
Raphael
can
has
we
to
have?
sound check. That's
Oh,
the
come on.
reason.
Okay.
Okay.
I love you.
Oh, I love you more.
And I thank you. Like
Thank
I'm
you.
doing everything to hold back tears, but I
The last
thank
time
you.
you did cry,
I did.
let it out, boo. Because
Thank you.
it's cleansing and it's good. And you're so pure, and I love you just because of the times that I met you. You're nothing but real. And you don't always see this in this industry. And I hardly ever see pure people behind a mic of any kind. But you are that girl. Thank you.
I'm retired. Okay. Salute. All right, it's been real.
Yeah.
More happy hour at some other time. I love y'all. Thank you.
Got me
Wow.
crying.
You got me.
Yep.
Thank you.
Both
Let's take
started
a
crying.
picture.
I'm like ready to.
Yeah.
Wow.